Hello, everyone. Welcome to Folktales with Sassy, a sequel to the Red Powder of Mbalɛ Market 1. It wasn't long before customers began to talk about the woman at the gate, the one who swept the market at dawn and sold cloth at noon. Naya's story, once wrapped in scandal, began to shift. People admired how she faced the same soil that once humiliated her and rose again, not with tricks, but with truth. Even new traders sought her out for advice. Which fabrics move fastest? One asked. How did you survive it? Another whispered. Naya answered with honesty and patience, something the old version of her might have hoarded like treasure. Each time she sold a wrapper, she thanked her customer personally. You've made my day, she'd say with a smile that reached her eyes. Her reputation, rebuilt slowly, now stood on firmer ground. One Saturday morning, a carpenter came by and dropped something beside Naya's stall. It was the red chair, worn, faded, but intact. Someone found this behind a stack of market crates. Said it was yours, he explained. Naya stared at it for a long time. Shoppers paused, recognizing the symbol. She touched it lightly. The magic was gone, but the memory remained. Instead of putting it behind her counter as before, Naya placed it in front of her store with a small sign. Seat of story, sit and share. Curious customers began sitting not just to buy but to talk about life, their days, or what lace to wear for their cousin's wedding. And so, the red chair found a new purpose, as a throne of community, not commerce. One afternoon, Tari brought back a bundle of handmade tie-dye cloth from a neighboring village. They're rough, she warned, but the colors sing. Naya unwrapped them and gasped. The textures were imperfect, but vibrant, full of life. Let's try them, she said. Together they set up a small corner called Truth Wears Color. To their surprise, the fabric sold faster than polished lace. People were drawn to their rawness, their honesty. It reminds me of home, one woman said. Others simply loved the colors. Word spread, and the new line became their signature. Naya laughed as she folded another sold piece. We're selling more truth than cloth, she joked. And she wasn't wrong. The association, hearing of her growing business again, sent her an invitation. Naya read it in silence. You are invited to rejoin the Textile Traders Association of Mbalɛ. Tari was thrilled. Say yes! But Naya took her time. When she returned to the association, she wore no extravagant lace, no loud gel, only a white cotton blouse with one of their tie-dyes tied as a sash. She entered quietly. The same traders who once mocked her stood to greet her. The chairwoman smiled. We've seen how you rose again. We honor that. Naya nodded humbly. I return not to claim anything, but to build with better hands. They applauded. And so Naya rejoined, not as a queen, but a builder. Months passed, and Naya's new store grew into a small compound of color, conversation, and culture. She and Tari trained younger girls, teaching them not just to sell, but to listen, to smile, to honor their roots. Never sell what you wouldn't wear, Naya would say, and never speak what your heart won't back. The red chair remained out front, always occupied, sometimes by a grandmother telling tales, sometimes by a young girl sketching designs, or a tired customer resting her feet. It became more than a chair. It became a symbol of rise, fall, and truth. Naya looked at it one day and whispered, You were never magic. You were just waiting for me to be real. Mbalɛ Market was changing, not just because new traders had entered, but because Naya's story had rippled through every corner. Her red chair had inspired other traders to create listening spots where customers could sit, talk, and feel like more than walking wallets. For the first time in years, the market felt less like a war zone and more like a village square. One afternoon, a group of young traders approached Naya. "Teach us," they said, "not just how to sell, but how to connect." Naya welcomed them with open arms. She started weekend sessions, no fees, just knowledge shared under a yellow umbrella. They called it the Cloth Circle. And Mbalɛ, once a place of loud competition, now echoed with softer, stronger voices. Tari had grown too, no longer just an assistant. She now managed her fabric section, specializing in colorful wraps from the hill villages. Customers loved her joyful presence and her knack for remembering every face and name. "You sold to my cousin at her engagement," they would say, and she'd beam, "Yes, you're next, eh?" One day, Naya surprised her with a gift, an old carved stool painted in bright yellow. "Your own seat of story," Naya said. Tari hugged her, tears in her eyes. "You gave me more than fabric. You gave me a voice." Their bond had become deeper than teacher and student. It had become sisterhood. One breezy morning, as Naya was arranging fabric bundles, a familiar figure appeared, dressed in all white, walking with grace and confidence. It was the mysterious woman from months ago. Naya froze. This time, the woman smiled. "You've learned your lesson well. You built with truth." She handed Naya a small packet, this time not of powder but of dried herbs. "For tea," she said, "to strengthen the body, not confuse the mind." Naya nodded slowly, her heart filled with gratitude. The woman disappeared into the crowd again, as silently as she had arrived. Some say she was a spirit. Naya never spoke of it again. One evening, Naya sat before a crowd of young girls gathered on woven mats around the red chair. The sun was setting, casting gold across the market lane. "Once," she began, "I thought magic was the secret to success. I thought if people said yes quickly, I had won. But true success isn't just selling, it's serving." She told them her story, not hiding the mistakes, not sugarcoating the fall. Tari added her part too, talking about the danger of good intentions without understanding. By the end, the girls clapped, not out of politeness, but reverence. They saw in Naya what she had become, not just a trader, but a storyteller, a mentor, and a woman reborn. At the end of the market season, the Textile Association organized a festival to celebrate the year's work. Stalls were decorated with palm fronds, music filled the air, and customers danced between sellers. At the heart of it all stood Naya's compound, renamed House of Story Cloth. Naya and Tari wore matching tie-dye outfits and led a procession of young girls who had learned under them. The red chair was placed in the center of the festival square, surrounded by lanterns. People came to sit, take pictures, and leave notes of gratitude. As night fell, the chair gleamed under the firelight. Naya watched from a distance, her heart full. "This," she whispered, "was the real magic all along." After the festival, Naya's fame spread beyond Mbalɛ. Photos of the red chair, the colorful wraps, and the girls of the cloth circle reached other towns. A woman from Umuako sent word asking Naya to come and speak at their own market gathering. Then came requests from Agulu, Oweri, and even across the river in Mbano. Naya had never imagined herself leaving Mbalɛ, but now her feet itched for the road. She and Tari packed samples of their clothes and notes from their classes and traveled with humble hearts. In each town they told their story, not the polished version, but the real one. How they fell, how they learned, and how they rose again. People listened, they wept, they laughed, and they bought, not just cloth, but the message woven in every thread. With success came new tests. Some of the girls in the cloth circle wanted to branch out. We want our own stalls, they said. Naya supported them, but not everyone did it with grace. One or two began to copy her exact style, down to the red chair and slogans. Some even claimed they invented the ideas. At first, it hurt, but Tari reminded her, imitation means you're doing something right. Naya chose to mentor them anyway. Let the market decide whose voice echoes, she said. Her stall remained full, not just because of cloth, but because of trust. And trust, once earned honestly, is magic no powder can match. To mark a full year since the powder's loss, Naya and Tari designed a new fabric. It was bold swirls of red and gold, deep green vines and bursts of purple. They called it Second Breath. Each pattern told part of Naya's journey, from pride to fall to rebirth. The cloth sold out within days. One woman who bought a bundle said, "I don't know why, but I feel brave in this cloth." Naya smiled. That was the point. Every design now carried a story. Every sale, a shared experience. Mbalɛ no longer knew her as the girl with the magic chair, but as the woman who turned failure into fabric. One morning, Naya came early to her shop and stared at the red chair. It had served its purpose. It had sparked stories, taught lessons, and welcomed every kind of soul. But it had also seen her darkest moments. Quietly, she carried it to the back of the shop and placed it near a small mango tree. She planted flowers around it. From that day forward, a new bench stood in front of the stall, painted in all the colors they had ever sold. It wasn't about one person anymore. It was about a community. The chair didn't vanish. It rested as all things do when their story has been fully told. Naya's shop was now a landmark. Tourists visited. Journalists wrote about it. Even school groups stopped by to learn about ethics and enterprise. But Naya never let it change her heart. She still greeted each customer with warmth, still swept her own front steps, still told the truth about her journey. She and Tari started a scholarship for young market girls, one each season. They called it the Seed Grant. Plant your own stall, but water it with truth, the motto read. The cloth circle now had branches in 3 towns, and Naya's story became a thread in the greater cloth of their people. One morning, a boy with dusty feet and a wide grin delivered a letter wrapped in brown cloth. It bore the seal of Njalesha, the royal township. Naya opened it slowly, heart beating faster with each line she read. The Queen Mother herself had invited her to speak at the Women's Guild of an enterprise, Avard's. It was gathering of elders, traders, and community leaders. Naya stared at the letter for a long while. "What does it mean?" Tari asked. Naya replied with a soft laugh. "It means the same market that once humbled me now points to me as an example." They packed their bags, this time with more than cloth. They carried their story, their pride, and the lessons of the red chair. The gathering at Njalesha was grand. Colorful tents spread across the palace lawn. Dignitaries from many towns sat in rows, dressed in their best. When it was Naya's turn to speak, she walked calmly to the stage. No script, no powder, just truth. "I once believed that success meant getting people to say yes," she began. "But I've learned that true success is when people say yes and they mean it." Her voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. The crowd listened, nodding, murmuring. Her words stitched themselves into their hearts. After the speech, a chorus of ululation rose. The Queen Mother embraced her and said, "You are not just a trader, Naya. You are a keeper of wisdom." Naya smiled, eyes misty. It wasn't magic, it was clarity. Back in Mbalɛ, Tari shared a dream. "I want to open a market school," she said one night. "Not just for selling, but for self-worth. For the girls who think their only power is in pretending." Naya lit up. "Then we will build it. One lesson, one cloth, one soul at a time." They began by renting a small room near the market's edge. They called it the Shed of Skill. Young girls trickled in, some shy, some eager. They learned numbers, customer care, how to tie wrappers, how to hold eye contact, and most of all, how to trust their own voice. It was a seed of something great, and it was growing. Years passed. The red chair faded with age, but the stories it sparked lived on. No one used powder anymore, not in Naya's circles. What they used instead was honesty, patience, laughter, and shared purpose. Mbalɛ Market became a place where people didn't just buy cloth, they found community. And on the anniversary of her return, the market held a tribute. There was music, dancing, and a new chair carved by local woodworkers, painted in all the colors Naya had ever sold. They named it the Chair of Grace. Naya sat on it, surrounded by friends, students, and former rivals. And for once, she allowed herself to feel pride without fear. One quiet evening, Naya sat under the mango tree where the red chair now rested, faded but whole. Tari joined her, bringing 2 calabashes of palm wine. "We did it, didn't we?" Tari said. Naya nodded. "We didn't just sell cloth. We rewove the market." They laughed, toasted to the moon, and watched the girls of the Shed of Skill dancing nearby. Life had come full circle, not with fireworks, but with peace. Naya closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and whispered, "Thank you, Mbalɛ, for breaking me, for teaching me, and for letting me rise again." The Shed of Skill grew into a ripple that became a river. Women from across the region, widows, young mothers, orphaned girls, began attending workshops. Some came with nothing but hope. Others brought talents waiting to be shaped. The curriculum expanded: negotiation, confidence, community leadership, even financial literacy. Naya and Tari partnered with elders and artisans to preserve cultural fabric techniques. "Let's teach them not just to survive, but to carry our traditions," Naya said. Every new graduate of the Shed was gifted a symbolic wrapper, half dyed by the student, half by a mentor. They called it the river wrap, a cloth to remind them they flowed together, strong and ever moving. One market day, as Naya adjusted a display of thread and buttons, she noticed a familiar figure approaching. Short, fidgety, with eyes full of guilt. It was Somto, the same apprentice who had swept away the magical powder all those years ago. She looked older and quieter. "I came to say sorry," Somto whispered. "Not just for what I did, but for running away instead of facing you." Naya smiled gently. "You didn't destroy me, Somto. You helped rebuild me. That powder was my crutch. Losing it taught me to walk." Somto asked to join the Shed of Skill. "I want to start again." Naya looked her in the eye. "Then start with the truth. We teach that first." To celebrate 5 years of the Shed, the market hosted a nighttime gathering. Lanterns hung from stall posts, and fireflies danced in the air like sparks of memory. Young girls performed plays reenacting Naya's journey, from seller to sweeper to mentor. Tari laughed and cried at once. Naya watched in silence, heart swelling. When it ended, they lit candles in honor of those who rose after falling. Not every cloth is perfect, Naya said, addressing the crowd. But every thread can be woven into something meaningful. That night, under a sky full of stars, the market became more than commerce. It became a choir of healed voices. The market changed with the seasons, but Naya's presence remained constant. She mentored without holding back, guided without judgment, and always found time to sit beneath the mango tree. The red chair, now overgrown with creeping flowers, was visited by many who came just to touch it, like a relic. Tari took charge more often, growing more into her own. She introduced digital payments, fabric catalogs, and even social media promotions. "Let the world see us," she said. Naya was proud. The girl who once feared her own shadow now stood as a beacon. "You are my harvest," Naya told her. "I only planted the seed." Mbalɛ Market hosted a festival honoring women of strength. Traders, healers, storytellers, and weavers all brought their crafts. Each booth displayed not just goods, but personal journeys. The shedder skill prepared a massive quilt, stitched by over 50 hands. Each patch told a story: loss, love, mistakes, forgiveness. Naya was the guest of honor, but instead of giving a speech, she sat in the middle of the market, inviting people to sit with her. "Tell me what you carry," she'd say. By sunset, her corner was full of laughter, tears, and singing, and the quilt was renamed the Cloth of Courage. Weeks after the festival, a royal envoy arrived in Mbalɛ. With them came embroidered letters bearing the seal of Unjilesha. The Queen Mother had sent word again, this time requesting Naya and Tari to help establish a similar shed of skill in the royal capital. "Your wisdom," the envoy said, "must reach farther." Naya was humbled. She looked at Tari, who nodded with tears in her eyes. "We'll go," she said. But Naya insisted on one condition: let the girls from Mbalɛ train the girls from Ngelecha. Let them become the teachers. The request was granted. The students would now become the torchbearers. The journey to Ngelecha was like stepping into a new world. The capital's market was bigger, louder, but also colder. People traded like machines. Naya and Tari set up their training under a large tent near the outskirts, bringing warmth where there had been only transaction. The royal shed of skill began with hesitation but soon blossomed. Local traders started bringing their daughters. Elders donated materials. The program became so popular that the Queen Mother herself attended a session. "We are weaving more than cloth," she said. "We are weaving peace, identity, and pride." Back in Mbalɛ, the red chair beneath the mango tree was now completely wrapped in flowering vines. Children sat near it to hear tales. Traders brought newcomers to see it, pointing with reverence. That's where the rise began, they would say. It had become a shrine, not of magic, but of resilience. One day, a young girl asked Naya, "Did the chair truly have power?" Naya smiled. "It did, but not in the way people thought. The power was in believing we could rise even when we fell." She touched the chair gently. "Sometimes what holds you up isn't what's beneath you, but what's inside you." In the final days of the dry season, the girls of the shed presented Naya with a cloth made entirely by them. It had every fabric they'd learned to make: batik, tie-dye, woven threads, patchwork, and embroidery. Each corner held the initials of students past and present. Tari unveiled it before the market crowd. "This is our tribute to the woman who taught us how to fail and still move forward." Naya couldn't speak for a long time. She simply embraced each girl, tears spilling freely. The cloth was named Naya's quilt and hung in the shed's entrance, a reminder of what one person, broken and rebuilt, could inspire. Under the same mango tree on a golden evening, Naya sat, watching the market she once feared would forget her. But Mbalɛ had not forgotten. It had changed because she changed. A little girl approached with a wrapper and said, "Can you help me tie it?" Naya smiled, knelt, and began. As she tied the cloth, she spoke gently. "Hold your head high. Walk like the queen you are, and always speak with your full chest." The girl grinned and ran off. Tari joined her soon after, handing her a cup of zobo. "You've built a village," she said. Naya looked around, the market buzzing, the shed alive, the red chair blooming in the background, and replied, "No, we just remembered how to be one."